now.
Wow, the pressure's on. Before I get started, I just want to shout out to Nerese. She's on this call. She just got a real estate license and is not chosen her brokerage yet, but she's on here. And keep her in your prayers because Nerese, I'm going to share your personal business. They got a baby coming, like within probably the next 48 hours. So,
That's so exciting.
Girl, thanks for getting on here today. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. So anyway, I have.
Oh, wait, I'm going to stop you, Daryl. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Daryl. I'm on. I've got my face on. I've got clothes on, so I'm ready. Okay. I just want to give a huge shout out and just so proud of my Daryl. I've known Daryl for 20 years. Talking about coming from a point of contribution, that's all he is. If you need anything, Daryl's the person on my speed dial to call. And that's for people at EXP, people in our group, people out of our group. If you need help, Daryl's there. And I'm so proud of you for doing this morning. I've known Daryl for 20 years. He taught my children. He's just, he's a one of a kind, and love you, man.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm supposed to
now the pressure is really on. You thought I put the pressure on. Karen just lit the flame.
For all us like testosterone driven men, I mean, now you just touched my inner femininity and I'm going to cry. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. So that's all right. Hey, so Tiffany, I have like a little PowerPoint thing. Can I don't screen share? What do I got to do?
You can screen share, and Joe,
Okay.
You have the docs as well. So we'll be helping you out and dropping them as soon as you say that you're ready for us to drop it. And
I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready.
Awesome. So Joe, go ahead and drop those docs.
All right, let's do that. All right. So this is the way I roll. And my name is Daryl. Welcome to Reclaim Your Headspace for Maximum Success. It's an honor and privilege to be here with you. I want to just kind of share a few things with you to kind of let you know that maybe this might be worth your time and energy to listen to. So let me just tell you a little bit about me. I talk about me, my favorite subject. But over the course of my years, I've realized in my life that my mission is to inspire, encourage, and challenge people. And that starts with myself. So I want to inspire myself. I need to encourage myself and challenge myself to grow. That's one of the reasons I've jumped into real estate, was to challenge. My life has been interesting to say the least for me, maybe not to you, but let me share why I think this is worth listening to. Over the course of the years, I've owned a martial arts and fitness gym, ran it, taught Kung Fu, karate, whatever. I've been a middle and high school educator. That's where I met Karen and actually taught her kids 20 years ago. I've created human formation leadership training programs. We can talk about that later. I've authored a book, Failing Forward. You can find that on Amazon. I've been a national trainer and speaker, basketball coach, flag football coach, volleyball coach. My undergrad is in philosophy, and I have an MA in humanities, specifically theology, but I don't say it that way because sometimes people tune out. So MA in humanities, which is all human stuff. And that's really where I'm coming from and what I'm bringing to you today. So one of the things that when we were talking about getting on this, what can we contribute to this group? One of the things in life is life happens to us, and it happens to us across 4 areas. We've kind of simplified this. And again, this is not just I didn't make this teachings up. This is the conglomeration of all my readings, pulling things together. I'll be happy to share where I got my stuff from. It's not, it's not a secret. I'm not a guru. It's just I collect things and rip off and distribute, But if you want to go to the source, I can get you the sources. So, we deal with 4 areas. We deal with our fitness, we deal with our spirituality, our relationships, and then our business, our job and money. And when something happens to us emotionally, I'm going to use the word emotionally, or something goes out of whack, it affects all areas of our lives. So I just want to kind of put that as a framework. You can come back to it in the handout and kind of look at that, and we can explore that later. But this is kind of what I've envisioned today is life happens. The deal that you needed to happen in real estate goes south. Your significant other, misunderstands you and you're triggered. Your kids aren't listening to you or made some bad choices. And I mean, it's just eating at you. You step on the scale and realize, that that 20 pounds crept back up on you. And now your day is just, in a slump because you can't get over, what you think about yourself and physically how you're feeling. And that's life. And so what I've realized is, we've got to figure out, how do we control that? Because if we don't control the triggers in our lives, this is what's going to happen. We're going to spiral out of control. So I like this diagram because when you look on the left side, it says trigger, and then you have a response. And if we don't deal with our triggers, what happens is we tend to spiral out into a place we don't want to be. And sometimes that'll last, it could last days, it could last a week, it could last an hour, depending on what the trigger is. And the things that are closer to our hearts trigger us deeper, more impactfully, and things tend to last longer. Through my studies and learnings and trying to figure out how to deal with life and the crap that comes with us, it's like, how do we take those triggers, deal with them in the most efficient, I'm not using the word appropriate because that's more subjective, but the most efficient way to take you out of that downward spin and actually elevate you to a new level. That's really what we want to do. So you'll notice the little yellow line, and yes, I'm that guy who has to have colors all over. That's just me. And if you don't like it, go change it. You can make it all one color, whatever makes you feel happy. But we have a choice. And intellectually, I hit a point in my life where I know I have a choice in life. My mom would always raise me with this, we are our choices. We are our choices, son. And I'm like, all right, fine, mom. But how do I deal with that moment of emotional messiness so I can make the best choice and take my life to the next level? And so we, over time, with different steps, we come up with this process, and I'm just going to share this with you. So I'm going to jump down the process, and we're going to kind of walk through it for you. All right, is everybody cool so far? I know I talk fast. I can't see you all. I'm kind of like doing my little, I wish I could see you all, but I got to look at my screen too. Are we all good?
You're doing great, buddy. You're doing great.
Okay.
You're great.
Awesome.
Feedback. I'm a feedback
Very
guy.
good.
So.
Very good.
Going.
All right. So my mom told me a story as a kid, and it was one of these things where she's like, a guy comes home from work. He gets yelled at by his boss at work, or she does, whatever, however you want to do it. Comes home and he's so upset. I can't believe the boss yelled. He's driving home. I can't believe the boss yelled at me. This is ridiculous. This guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I give my heart and soul to this company. He comes home. His wife happens to be there, and she's like, "Hi, honey, welcome home." And he's like, "What? Dinner's not ready? This kitchen is a mess. What's this about?" Now the wife is in a bad mood. She storms out of the kitchen. She looks in the living room, and there's her 8-year-old kid has his toys or her toys left out all over, and yells at the kid, "I told you 10 times, you need to have that picked up. What's going on?" The kid is so crushed. "Why is mom yelling at me?" And he's angry, and he goes and kicks the dog, and the dog screams. And I remember my mom telling me the story over and over. And that story, when I learned when I was 11, many, many years later, sits with me and realizes that how we respond to things impacts the rest of our lives and impacts those around us. So if something happens, if that deal falls through, how do you deal with it so that when you go home to your loved ones, they're not feeling the emotional impact of that? How do you deal with it so that you don't turn around onto that client who made that car purchase 7 days before closing, before the mortgage lender double checked, and not rip their head off so that you can retain them as a client long term? How do you deal with that so you can go on living? And this is really the process that we come up with. So you can work through this together. If you're at home, I'm going to encourage you to work through this with me. If you're gymming out and stuff, just walk with it. Use your creativity. You can go light, you can go heavy on this, however you want. We'll have a little training sessions we go through. So the first step we want to do is we want to look at our event. What exactly happened? And again, this is personal. This is your trigger. What's triggering you? You can take something deep, huge, impactful. You can do something that just irritates you. You get to pick the level of trigger, right? Maybe you don't like the way that your significant other said good morning to you. Maybe you don't. I mean, Claire never has that problem. I know Stud Muffin does it perfectly, but Will's wife does it perfectly. You guys are on my screen. I have to pick on you, but whatever it is, maybe your kid didn't pick up their room for the third time after you told them, whatever. The next step is, that's what triggers you. Okay, so what are you feeling? The next step is identify the feelings. Now, the most common feeling that comes out is anger. That's kind of like your go-to. And that's a nice, good start place. But I challenge you to go deeper. Now I'm going to speak as a man, because that's all I really know, is a lot of times our triggers come from a deeper emotion of shame and guilt and embarrassment. And we mask that as anger. So you can take this as deep as you want. And I'm going to defer to Claire for the common women's feelings. She's got a lot of knowledge on that. So we take our feelings. Okay, what do I feel about this? Well, I'm really ticked off at, I'm going to use my son, Maddox. He left his toys on the floor and I told him 10 times to pick it up. So I own my anger. I am so ticked at that kid. He's disobedient. He's whatever. So what's the story I'm telling myself? My story is, my kid is disobedient and he's not listening to me. And therefore I must be a crappy father, because if he listened to me, if I was a good father, he would have listened to me and picked up his toys the first time. That's the story I'm telling myself after I get through that emotions. Now, mind you, we're moving very, very fast, but this process it's worth your time and your energy to slow down and do, and you'll get better as you go along, because it becomes a tool. The more you use it, the more efficient and skilled you get at this. So the story is, I'm a terrible father because my kid didn't pick up his toys on the first time I told him, and I had to tell him 5 times. Therefore, I must, whatever. I'm there. How do I feel about that story? Well, I'm embarrassed because I should be a better dad. I should have my act together. I should have the perfect family, because if I was a great dad, I feel like crap, and my kid's obedience is everything. All right. So I feel like crap. I feel hurt. I feel embarrassed. I feel ashamed, whatever it is. So then I have to ask myself, is this story true? Is the story that I'm a terrible dad because my son didn't pick up his toys on the first time, is that a true story? Well, I'm going to say yes, it is, because, I have high standards in my house and I'm a great dad. But do I know for 100% that it's true? And if we're honest with ourselves, the answer is always going to be no, because we really don't know 100%. We might have a good handle. And if I'm a gambling man, I'd probably say yes, but I don't know 100%. So that story's not true. So once we deal with that, and that takes a little bit of time. Okay, there's my story. That story's not true. Boom, what do I do? So then I need to say, what do I want out of this situation? What do I want for Maddox, my son? What do I want for me? What do I want for the toys? What do I want? And if we really stop and think, in this instance, I want the certainty that I am a good dad and I'm doing the best I can, right? I want the certainty that I'm a good real estate professional and I'm doing the best I can. I want the certainty that I'm a great wife and I am loving my family and doing all the awesome, amazing wife things that I think I should. I want the certainty that I am, a great whatever, I don't know, Uber driver for my kids, whatever it is you need to have, what do I want? So really what I want is, I want the certainty that I'm a great dad, and I want my son to know that I love him no matter what. So now I have a choice. I got to create a story. What story can I make in my head that'll give me what I want? Well, I could say, you know what? I'm a great dad because I'm showing my son the value of picking up after himself. And he's so involved in wrestling, and he's giving 100% to a sport, which is keeping him out of, away from girls, which is not bad, but just, and keep him on focus on his grades in his high school career. And, this is just a small thing that maybe he hasn't gotten to yet. So my son is actually involved in sports and focused on his grades, and life in his world has become a little overwhelming. He's not disobeying me. He just hasn't gotten to it yet. And he still sees the value of picking up after himself. I feel pretty good. How do I feel about that? I feel all right. All right, my kid's getting it. Yeah, I feel good. All right. Will this story give me what I want? You bet it will. I'm feeling great, Dad. My kid gets it. You know what? He just didn't pick up after himself, but the kid is wrestling like and he's doing his grades, and he's really busting his butt. This is, whoo, that's my kid. See that shift right there? Boom. I shifted the story. Now, I feel pretty good. So then we move to the last session, which is revelation, enlightenment, and action, because we need to learn, we need to take away something. We need to take away something from that. So I'm going to ask myself, what is the insight I got from this situation, from this trigger? What is the insight that negative experience allowed me to see? And so what I would do, and I'd sit back and I'd be like, Daryl, the insight is, your legs are pretty tired from jumping to conclusions so much. Daryl, you need to slow down a little bit before you jump into a rash judgment. Okay. So as I sit back and survey the revelation insight, what am I learning? Well, before I assume I know what my client wants, I'm going to talk to them and listen a little bit more before I share and spew all my real estate knowledge on them. Before I correct my child or try to teach them something, I'm going to stop and listen to why they did what they did first. Same with my significant other. Okay, so my lesson is slow down a minute, pause a little more in my life. And then the question is, what action do you feel called to take or driven by this insight or revelation? Well, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus specifically on pausing for 10 seconds after somebody speaks to me to reflect on what they say. Boom, done. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's the process. And we take this methodology and we repeat it over and over and over and over again. And you'll be surprised that the more you use this tool, the more you're going to see how amazing and mind-blowing it is for your life. And you're going to see things within yourself that you have not seen before. And so it's interesting because in this process, I've done this process 1,189 times. Yes, and I can show you all my PDFs. And this is I started in 2017. And what happened was, I'll just share some of this for those that may not know me well. About the end of 2016, I went through this separation from a 16-year marriage and ended up getting divorced, which shattered my lifelong goal of being married to one person for my entire life. So that dream of mine was basically shattered, and it sucked. So as I was reading and studying and following the triggers that cascaded from that and the impact of divorce that I saw in my children and how it affected them, it just drove that pain deeper and deeper. And I had to do something with it, right? I had to figure out a way to cope and a way to reframe things. And so fast forward 5 years, 6 years, whatever, 5 years later, I look back at the man who I was back in 2016, 2017, when I started, and I look at who I am today. And the cool thing is I look at the outside circumstances surrounding, right, the fallout of the divorce. And I still see relational patterns between my ex and I that occur, right? But the way I am and the way I deal with those are completely different, because now I'm standing in power. Now I'm standing in a place where, you know what, maybe that's not what I think it is. And this is the story I want to tell, because that story helps me. And now I show up to my kids in a more powerful position. I show up, I can get something that's very triggering, walk through it. I can step out that door and meet my clients and show them a house or go on a listing presentation. And you know what? They're none the better. They don't even know. And that's okay. They don't need to know. But that that trigger didn't just bring me spiraling down for hours on end like it did back in 2016, 2017. And so these are just, this is a tool that has changed my life. And I use this a lot with a lot of my coaching clients to help them, kind of walk through life, because oftentimes we don't deal with the garbage that comes with us. We stuff it, we stuff it, we stuff it. We don't need to deal with it. We sedate, we get on, drugs, we get on alcohol, you get on porn, you get on, overworking, whatever it is. And we never deal with the crap that's going on so we can be present and alive for the people that we love in our lives. And that's really the end of the day, what we want to do. We want to show up authentically to our loved ones, and we want them to show up authentically to us. And by the grace of God, I found these tools and was playing with it and putting it together that, it's not perfect, right? This is not a perfect system. And there's days where, well, yesterday, I was triggered and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I have to walk through it. And then there's days where it's like, okay, small things come up and I just kind of walk through this process. And yes, it takes time and energy. It's a skill that you will develop. So it's not like it just happens overnight. This is a skill set. And it takes time and energy to invest in yourself to master the skill or become very good at it. And so I challenge you lovingly, okay, on this, it's part of my deal here. I challenge you all lovingly to spend time with, if you need help, I put my personal email, you have my phone number there. I'll be happy to walk you through it. There's time, it was kind of funny when Tiffany and I have been kind of on a weekly accountability call. And one day she was calling me and something was going on. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, something's going on. So I just kind of, I started in with the questions, and
Can
I
I talk about this just for a little bit,
Yeah,
Daryl?
please do.
Because it was phenomenal for me. I didn't know what process he was walking me through, but he flat out asked, do you trust me? And I was like, I hate that question. Do I trust you? I don't know. You tell me. Do I trust you? What are you about to do? And he said, I'm just going to ask you a series of questions and just you be honest, answer them truthfully, and let's do this. And I was like, okay. So he started taking me through this concept of stacking. And I went from thinking new agent, not good enough, I'm behind in the game, how am I ever going to support and pay for dream vacations? What do you mean I got 3 kids in going to college? That's ridiculous. There's so much pressure. And by the end of it, complete 180. Talk about bringing you to the bottom, or you're already at the bottom, then making you realize that you're at the bottom and bringing you to the top. That's what this process does. And it was phenomenal because he didn't do any crazy magic. And he asked me questions that I answered myself. And it's like, it was always right there. He just taught me how to tap into it, which was really, really life-changing. And I mean life-changing because to this day, Daryl's taken me through this now twice, right? And even the second time he started asking me questions and I didn't catch on until about halfway through. And I was like, oh, what is it? Oh, he's taking me through. Okay. Yes. Yes, please, please, please. Let's finish taking me through this process because it really does help. So please, if anyone, anything really, even if it's new agent blues, or if it's a personal issue, or if it's a really big professional one, doesn't really matter. Please take him up on the offer to go through this. It really will make a difference.
Oh, thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for the infomercial. So, one of the guiding principles behind this, and Jordan Peterson wrote in his, I think I have 12 Rules for Life. If you're not familiar with Jordan Peterson, you can look him up. He's all over the internet. He says, you gotta slay the dragon to get the gold. And Joseph Campbell writes, you got to go into the darkness, into the pit to find the light. And that is one of the principles that struck me, and is like, I've got to go into the ugly place, the places that I don't want to see, and I don't want to deal with. And I would rather, light up a cigar and drink some bourbon and talk with friends because I don't have to deal with that crap. I'd rather do that. I'd rather, scroll Facebook so I don't have to deal with my issues. And when I started, this process brought me to a point where it becomes less and less afraid to go in there, because at the end of the day, you're going to find the gold. When you go to the dragon's lair, there is gold there. And that is your insights about who you are. And that's the nuggets of how you want to show up and what you want to do differently. And it's a beautiful thing. So this skill set, guys, this is a skill set. This is a tool that you have, but it's only gets sharpened if you use it. All right. Well, the information is out there. We have a ton of information. The information age is dead. We are in the age of application. And you're only as good as the things you apply in your life. Right? I get on GPS every morning, and I'll be honest with you, it's not that I'm here looking for the newest nugget anymore. And I haven't been in real estate super, super long, but I think I've heard everything, but I've not applied everything. And so I come back to listen and hear and get reminded about what I have not applied. And sometimes Karen is so good at me, she'll call me personally to tell me what I have not applied. Thank you, Karen. I love you. But that's and the other thing too is the real estate professional that I was 18 months ago is not who I am today. So I got to come back here, and I got to listen to George, and I got to listen to Tom on Fridays, and I got to listen to Max's open house, because I am different. And you bring a new you. This will help you bring that new you to your life experience. You will show up differently to your kids. You will show up differently to your spouse. You will show up differently to your clients. You will show up differently to the people that you care about, want to have an impact on. I'm like, wow, you may not see it. You're not going to see it, but people will see it. But it takes time and energy. One of my closest friends, he says, man, Joe, you spend a lot of time reflecting. He said, I'm like, okay. But you know what? It's paid off for me in this case. I found something that works. And so I wanted to share it with you because it's so exciting. And I really believe that each and every one of us can have a life that is inspirational, full of encouragement, and also challenging to yourselves and to other people. And you just go out and, and that's when you tell people you love them, that's how you show up, as an amazing people. So I scratched the surface today. This is just a gross overall generality. For those that want to go deeper, I mean, we can figure out a way to figure that out. Or if you have questions or whatever, I would love to walk with you. I'm a big proponent of coaching. Tom gets on here, and everyone, Claire, we talk about coaching. And one of the things, just kind of so my whole wheelhouse has kind of been coaching in the area of life, education, all that. I have not coached in real estate. I'm not a real estate coach. I'm the guy who will get you to, hey, I think you need a real estate coach. I could be that guy, or, hey, I think you need a fitness coach, or, hey, I think, I could do that. I tend to fall in the relational and spiritual connection area. If that's kind of something that you're searching out, that's my wheelhouse. So just so don't come to me for real estate advice. I mean, I'll share what I know, but don't
As I say, lies. I go to him for the real estate advice all the time. Go for it. Go for it. He knows more than he's letting on.
Oh, thank you. All right. What questions do y'all have for me? I mean, let's take it to 9:30 or however.
Hey, Daryl, I don't have a question, but where the heck have you been all this time, man? You should have been doing these Wednesdays along with me. Come on now.
All right, brother. You're in. Thanks, Fred. Thank you so much.
Man, you've been holding out, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great job, man. I love it. And that's the key, is the how to. I'm on with one of the agents this week, and I think she's been in the business for a number of years, but she's in the biggest personal emotional slump that she's ever been in her life. And, and it's what happens, you get into it and you just swim in that swamp. Right. And so it was very practical this exercise, like Tiffany was saying, the answer's there, it's inside of us, but how do you tap it? And that was perfect, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Fred. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Love it.
Hey, Daryl.
Yeah.
Daryl.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, TJ. Thank you.
Hey,
TJ, go ahead.
You mentioned the name of a book in the beginning of your conversation. Do you remember that book's name? I think you said you wrote a book or something, or you said something.
I did. So I wrote a book called Failing Forward, Leaderships for Catholic Teens. So for those of you who may not know, I was raised in the Catholic tradition, and most of all my education has been in Catholic schools and Catholic youth ministry. And so I like to share that, but some people will tune out when you mention God or Christianity or whatever. And I don't want you to tune out. I want people to take the wisdom, because Bruce Lee said, I love this, take what is useful and discard the rest. And, it's funny, my buddy, he's a good friend of mine. And it was interesting because I was trying to show him through this process. And I said, dude, go study this, dude, look at this program. And my buddy is a heavily Catholic guy, but he would not look at this program because he didn't like the way the language the guy used. And he uses kind of a lot of military jargon and language that would make a Marine blush. And so, and I'm like, bro, you got to take the wisdom. There's wisdom everywhere to be found. You've got to take it. So I just want to encourage you all to find what is useful, and not, don't let your preconceived biases shut you off to the gold that is sitting right there, because we sell ourselves short many, many times. And I'm guilty I don't want to hear that, because it's whatever my label is. But TJ, the book is, we basically did a lot of leadership training for young people. For those who have been accustomed with youth ministry, we are unique because we're kind of, I say bipolar. We have to speak teenagese, and then we got to turn and translate that to parentese. And working in middle schools and high schools, it was great. Karen can attest to this. We get a lot of parents whose kids come into middle school and they'll be like, what happened to my kid? And I go, what happened? You think they grew horns and fangs? They were so sweet, and now they're this. And I go, well, you don't really look like how they describe you either.
I don't think you're on video.
So, it's really bringing the communication. We focus on communication between parents and teens, and helping understand one another, because again, that's a huge, family relationships are huge. And what we do in our families pours out into our world. So that's really been the bulk of my work. And it begins with working on ourselves, right? As a dad, I have to show my sons that I'm working on myself each and every day, showing up better for them. They don't appreciate it right now, but they will over time. And so that's what I just want to share with you. Just keep growing in who you are. And, I don't have my act together. It seems like it. I feel like I do today, but yesterday I didn't. And we're just kind of stumbling along, together. So once we own that we're in this together, stumbling along, and some of you have wisdom that I can pull from and share with me, or maybe you say the same thing at the right time. I've heard it 20 times, but now you say it because I'm ready to receive it. So don't sell yourself short for what you have to contribute in life, because there's somebody out there who needs to hear what you have to say, in your tone, in your mannerisms, in the way you show up. So bring yourself, guys, bring yourself to wherever you are. People need to hear you and see you. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you, Daryl. No, he's not. He's got more. Pull it out of him,
Thank you,
guys. Come
Daryl.
on. Claire.
Hey, Daryl, I think that you brought up something that was really awesome. And I thank you for the process that you're sharing with us. It's very impactful. And one thing that you just said in the last statement was the fact that yesterday you weren't okay, but today you are. And I think that is so important, that we all keep in perspective that there is not one person who is better than anyone else. We might have skills that are better at something. However, we are not all spiritually fit 24/7. So that's why we continue to support each other's successes in our businesses, on these calls, in our mindsets. And when we're sharing these little nuggets to get us through life, it is so incredibly important of what Daryl just said about the receiving of this. And you know what? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I can assure you that I've heard a lot of little golden nuggets from people who have barely in the business or barely a new, in a spiritual journey of their life. So just be aware of the blessings to be received, because one of the things that Daryl has also underlying talked about is we have to be ready to receive the light from other people that are pouring onto us and into us. So thank you so much, Daryl. This was really deep and really great.
Thanks, Claire. I'll share something that I don't put on my list of things I've overcome. I don't want to be, oh, look at him, he's an overcomer. And I used to be that guy where everyone else would have these great these great sob stories. And I'm like, my life sucks. I don't have a sob story. I didn't overcome anything, and, but I know, right? But the interesting thing is, and I love what Claire said, is nobody's better than. And I used to equate somebody having a skill for that maybe I wanted. I want to be a quarterback in the NFL. Tom Brady's better than I am. Oh, okay. Slow my roll. He makes more money. He's more Super Bowls than I'll ever win in my life. All this stuff. But wait, he's better at quarterbacking than I am. Okay. And it took me too many darn years to realize that just because somebody's good at a skill doesn't mean they're a better person. And that's and it took me, again, this triggering process. I would be triggered by, I'm going to use Tom Brady. I don't have a problem with him and at all, but I'm going to use Tom, and I'm like, oh, he's a jerk. And I hear people say, oh, I don't like him. He's a jerk, whatever. Okay. What's the story in your head, Daryl? Are you jealous? Oh yeah, I'm jealous. I'm not making $500 million a year. And I'm jealous I don't have the ads. And I'm jealous I don't have the supermodel. And I'm jealous that I'm struggling to eke out a living and he doesn't. Okay. So, what am I jealous about? Well, what do I really want? I want to feel important. Okay. Well, what story can I create? But the key is this: I start from all that garbage. I went in and I found that, I can look now at people who have a skill set. I want that skill set. So I'm going to learn, and I'm now, use the word more humble, if you will. And I don't let pride get in the way as much. It still does a lot, but as much to now be able to learn and realize that a person is a person and you are you. And just because you have a skill set in real estate or a skill set in authorship or a skill, whatever it is, I can learn that skill set. And you probably had to put energy and time to develop that skill set. And that's okay. And so I challenge us, I encourage us all to take this process and walk through it, and track your results, track where you're going. I'll be honest, at the end of this year, 2021, I took all my, I call them stacks, all my stacks, and I went through and I looked at each and every lesson I learned. And I did it by month. And I said, so in January, and I spent time on this. I found a theme. Okay, in January of 2021, this was kind of the theme of my life. And so by the end of 2021, I had 12 themes. And I kind of could consolidate. This is what I learned. This is what I took in 2021. Now I can say, who do I want to be in 2022? What are the skill sets I want to develop? What are the things I need to learn? What do I need to overcome? What fears do I need to overcome? Door knocking, cold calling. Let's just be honest, guys. That's my real estate Achilles heel. Oh my gosh, somebody's going to yell at me if I say, hey, how's your day? How you been? Oh my gosh, they're going to say, Daryl, you're a piece of crap. How dare you call me? I've known you for 5 years and you're such a caring guy, you jerk. Why do you even pick up the phone? You're just trying to sell me something, aren't you? Yes, I'm afraid, right? So guys, I deal with that every freaking day. And there's some days I call 3 people. Some days I'm feeling good. I call 5. Some days I just don't care. And I'm calling 20. And I'm so, but I use my process to help get the stories out of my head a little bit. And it's I'm just growing along with y'all. So thanks for coming on. And say Tom Brady's. No, I won't say it. Thank you. I just saw that in the chat.
No, thank
Dude,
you.
you
Michael.
gotta
Thank you,
admit, Tom
Sharon.
Brady, man. He's the man.
What's the success these people have and what makes them successful? Anyway, so this is a great tool. What else do you have for me? Is there any other questions? Thank you, Michael, so much. I appreciate the positive feedback. I purposely gave you a PDF. You could fill it in. I'll be honest with you. It's probably, I would take the time and energy to type it out, or cut and paste, and then just start, dating it and go through the process and do it for a month. Do it once a day. And you're going to find, this is kind of the cool thing. I went from being triggered and now I do it. I'm on the attack. I look for things that irritate me in my life. I do a recall going, okay, what's irritating me? What's irritating me? And then I'll start stacking that. And it's interesting to see because all of a sudden it's like, all right, dealt with it. And I'm walking through life feeling pretty good. Okay, I got the confidence, I got the whatever, let's do it. So you go from defensive to offensive and you're sniping out this stuff. And you may say, Daryl, I don't have the time for this. And you know what? I don't disagree with you. You don't have the time for it. 100% I agree with you. However, I would encourage you and challenge you to make the time because it is important. So, you're worth it. You're worth it. All right, I'm done. I said I'm done 10 times. I got to be done. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Michael, for sharing. Same problem. Okay, good, man. I'm not alone. Thank you, Barb. Something of value. What'd you get? Somebody whose face is not shining on here. What'd you get out of this? Somebody, please.
Well, I wanted to tell you, thank you, Dal. It's awesome. And it's one of the things that we always deal with. We take our work, we bring it home, and it just trickles down. It's a ripple effect. So if we can recognize what the trigger is and do something about it, that's amazing. One of the things too that I've been struggling with is my daughter is 14 now. So she thinks she knows everything. You tell her the same thing over and over and over again. And it's just like, am I talking to a wall? So one of the things that I plan on trying with her is to have her I'm going to write down a list of priorities: homework, housework, time hanging out with your friends, phone time, social media time, and movie time, spending time on practicing your sport because she plays basketball right now. And so I'm going to ask her, put this in a list of priority, like prioritize which one is most important. Put a one next to that. Family, which one do you think is more important? And then go over it with her and just kind of, we have so much guidance to do with them, especially when they get to that age. So this was a good topic, and I took a couple of notes, but mostly screenshots because you went kind of fast.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you so much for bringing this up and to our attention so we can better ourselves.
Steph, shoot me an email. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go all Fred DeFalco on you, and you send me your email. I'm going to gift you a copy of my book. It's specifically because you have your 14-year-old daughter. It's specifically for teens and helping you kind of set that structure in place. It's a methodology that you can tweak. So do that for me.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got that from Fred DeFalco. I will gift you this book if you just email me.
Guys,
I love it. Thank you.
Fred.
We might read it together.
before I stop the recording, because I do want this part on the recording, all in favor of Daryl doing this more often, raise your hand, use reactions, unmute, say heck yeah, come on.
Heck yeah.
Heck
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, hello.
Bring it.
Absolutely.
I'll buy a ticket.
100% yes.
You even got the
Thanks,
dragged
guys.
out Jonathan.
Hey, Tiffany, when are the tickets going on sale
4.
for Daryl's next session?
Exactly, right?
This or what?
I'll
I
get,
know, Daryl-
I'll get with Daryl after the call and see what his schedule looks like and the GPS training schedule looks like, and we'll make it happen, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, Daryl, I think you just started a new radio show.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You know what?